Light of the season, here's some hidden secrets and knowledge that you haven't heard. And so I'm going to title this one Nimrod, the age-old war conflicts between the black and the white man, why the X and Xmas, and the ancient battle between the pale-skinned Caucasians of Shem versus their brother, the dark-skinned descendants of Ham, or known as Ham. And when you listen to these words, just listen with an open ear. Don't think pro-black, don't think anti-white, don't think anti-black, pro-white, etc. Because to understand this, you have to analyze this without emotions. And so with that being said, this all starts or can be traced to the days of the wickedness in Babylon, when Babylon had fallen and became inhabited with devils. And so much of this New World Order you're seeing with the sex orgies, the satanic practices, the infiltration of drugs in society can be linked to this. And so in Babylon, it was called the land of Nimrod. And Nimrod was the ruler of all rulers, king of all kings. And so on Nimrod, his symbol was an X. You can find this written and carved in stone on his statue in Babylon and museums throughout the world. His garments was an X. Those was the garments that was taken from Adam and Eve, who were in fact the first creation of what you call the white man, not the black man. Because Adam comes from the Sumerian word Adama or Adamu, which means to show blood or to show red in the face. So when they created Adam and Eve, that had nothing to necessarily do with us. And I'm not saying this as to show superiority, but so that you're going to know the history about this. And so the Nimrod, his symbol was an X. And if you know anything about the symbol of X, X denotes witchcraft. X also denotes what? Murder. Anytime a film has too much violence, it's X-rated. Anytime you have pornography, child or teen or adult sexual lust, it is a film that is X-rated, XXX. That's because that comes from the X of Nimrod, who was known for his evil and sexual, satanic, cannibalistic practices. Nimrod was unmatched between all the leaders. No one could compare to him. What he would do, they feared Nimrod. Babylon was called the land of Nimrod. And so Nimrod, if you notice, was known as the mighty hunter. That's why Nimrod is in the film X-Men, because X is the X gene, and the X gene is the unknown gene that was causing the mutations and giving the super abilities in that comic series. It came from the X of Nimrod. And so that's why you have the X and the Xmas, because X means to double cross. And the double cross is the X that marked the spot when Jesus was crucified. Anytime you have an X, anytime you have an X, it symbolizes murder. That's why X marks the spot for a murder for hire. The target is X'd out. You're canceled. Like an ex-boss, an ex-wife. X is the unknown, like the variable in algebra. And so the X in Xmas comes from the Feast of Nimrod. There's a light and a dark side of this concept of Christmas, because Nimrod at the Sabbath in Babylon was born on December 25th, as said the story of Jesus Christ. And so Nimrod was known as the great or the mighty hunter, but they never told you what was he hunting. He was hunting and he was feasting on and eating the Caucasian children. And he had so much fury and hatred for the Caucasians that he would burn them alive and eat them. How do you know this is true? Because God cursed Canaan. The land that was named after Canaan was cursed. What was the historic Nimrod hunting? He was hunting the Caucasian white man, the descendants of Shem. Shem extends to the word Shemite. If you take the letter H out of Shemite, you get Semite. And so there are two sides to the Semites. The ones that are the real and the ones that are of the synagogue of Satan. The ones that practice the things written in the Talmud. And so Nimrod was feasting on the Caucasian pale man. Because Nimrod, why? Was related to Canaan. Nimrod worshipped Baal. Canaan and Baal is where you get cannibal or cannibal. Look it up. So the black God, the black man, the ruler, Nimrod, his symbol was an X. And this is why his evil satanic practices and symbols are paraded to this day. You can see X in the Exxon logo. The corporation is a Standard Oil company, which is started by a wealthy family called the Rockefellers. And there's a lot of bloodshed behind oil. And their symbol is the double cross, or in other words known as the Lorraine cross. And so it makes sense that Lorraine, the Lorraine Hotel, is where Martin Luther King was double crossed. And he was X'd out. X marks the spots. So if you think this is a coincidence, you think this drama is something that's easy to resolve, you better think again, because this got history beyond most people's understanding.